Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the ships at sea. Bullshit. There, I said it. Many years ago, Penn Jillette and Raymond Teller had a series that ran on the Showtime television network for 8 straight years called exactly that. The premise was that they would tackle any political or scientific subject matter that they felt to be either misleading or outright lying in the way that lamestream media regularly presented said subject matter. They titled the show Bullshit because they openly admitted that calling people liars or other such titles, no matter how true, could land them in legal battles that they wanted no part of, mainly for the sake of mental and financial peace. While I realize that the word itself might offend more than a few of my loyal viewers, I thought long and hard this week for an appropriate title for the subject matter I'm about to delve into, and I kept coming back to it. Simply could not shake it. You know me by now. This puppet simply does not candy coat anything, and not about to start now. So here we go, friends and colleagues. This puppet is about to take you on a whirlwind tour of all things bullshit that are being openly foisted upon us here in the supposedly great United States of America in early 2026. Number one, why is it that you and I can purchase a brand spanking new item, and I do not care what said item is, in the good old USA, and pay our fair share of sales tax, then years later say it were to get resold at an antique or flea market, and the same greedy states come back and slap sales tax on the exact same item or items all over again. Same goes for eBay sales. To the blue marble eyes of this cloth prognosticator, that has all the earmarks of something called double dipping by our supposedly upstanding state governments, does it not? And it gets even worse when motor vehicles are involved. So many states make you pay sales tax, excise tax, luxury tax on more expensive, quote, luxury vehicles, and even use tax for simply owning said motor vehicle with intent to drive it. So here are the states getting fat on myriad taxes the first time on the motor vehicle is purchased, and again whenever said vehicle is resold. It quite literally is the gift that keeps on giving to greedy state governments, I do believe, and to that this puppet boldly calls bullshit. Number two, anyone remember back to the late 1990s and early 2000s to the relative infancy of the modern internet? If you do, then just maybe you remember a fad that took place whereby a piece of file sharing software called Napster allowed users to freely share digital music files across the World Wide Web, and all without the artists or producers of said music receiving a single cent. And at the same time, other copycat file sharing services came out like LimeWire, Kazaa, and others to boot. Now allow me to preface something at this juncture. I'm not by any means advocating for digital privacy here, but there is a valid point to be made, so please hear me out. During the midst of the Napster craze, a heavy metal group known as Metallica began bringing massive lawsuits against individuals and even their families for illicitly downloading, uploading, or otherwise sharing their particular songs across Napster, LimeWire, or Kazaa file sharing services. In fact, the monetary amounts that they were suing for in many of these litigations were downright ridiculous in nature and would quickly bankrupt any individual or family on the receiving end. Now I know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? But again, hear me out, kids and cousins, on this one. So, while this puppet never once downloaded, shared, or uploaded a singular song on the internet via Napster, LimeWire, Kazaa, or any other file-sharing software service, suffice it to say that this puppet did ponder long and hard about the legalities and moral ethics involved in the entire fiasco. Having a substantial physical musical media collection myself, and one acquired over decades of legal and fully legitimate record store purchases, this thought did hit me more than a few times. Why should I, or anyone else for that matter, who had originally purchased full albums of songs from various musical artists, originally on 8-track tape format, then a decade later repurchase the same albums on cassette tape format, then another decade later repurchase same albums on the compact disc format, be liable to any greedy musician or corporate mogul for any fees whatsoever just for wanting to acquire a copy or copies of the exact same albums or songs all over again? Huh? I mean, if that is not quadruple dipping on the part of the musicians and publishers, then nothing is. And the strangest thing is that I never once heard this conversation brought up at all while myriad individuals and families were being run through the proverbial ringer by Metallica at the time. And to that, friends and colleagues, this puppet soundly calls bullshit. Number three, have anyone under the sound of this puppet's voice ever, by chance, gone to the dentist and received a massive sticker shock of purchasing dentures for yourself or a loved one? If you have, then you have seen extortion fees as high as $7,500 bandied about with relative carelessness by said dentists. Now, if you happen to have dental insurance or Medicare, perhaps part of that exorbitant fee can be absorbed. But for many, they are left with a difficult decision to either tough it out and suffer with malfunctioning or painful teeth, or to eat macaroni and cheese the rest of your life in order to make 90 easy installments of only $220 per month. Yep, there's the rock and there's the hard place, friends and relatives. Now, would it shock any of you within earshot if I told you that many foreign countries have dentures priced at far lesser monetary amounts than we see here in the good old USA? Really? Can this puppet tell you that same dentures would cost you $260 right now in the Philippines and only $370 right now in Azerbaijan? Yep, it is true. There are so many nations in the world where the price of full sets of dentures are less than 1/20th of what we are getting taken for here in the USA. Now, I know what you are thinking. These are sub-quality dentures that wear out in 2 years, right? You would be sorely mistaken. How would this puppet know, you ask? Well, suffice to say that an acquaintance is from Asia and received dentures there in 2017, and they are still functioning quite well. The price they paid at the time was $400, by the way. Now, why is it that President Trump supposedly issued an executive order a number of months back requiring large pharmaceutical corporations to charge the same amount for their prescription meds here in the USA as they do in other nations, but he has not looked into this chicanery in the slightest? And that, friends and colleagues, is bullshit. Number 4, have you ever wondered why broadband internet monthly fees are so pricey? Anyone remember the dial-up modem days of internet when a monthly plan could be had for $14.99? Nowadays, here in the United States, a low-end price is $40. If you're fortunate enough to find an ISP in your area that goes that low on their monthly data plans, and the national average for a 60 megabytes per second or higher connection is currently $72.64. Well, what if I told you that people in Chile pay an average of only $23.84 per month for a 60 megabytes per second or higher connection? And what if I said that people in Japan pay on average $32.65 per month for the exact same data bandwidth? Think about this, folks. Every country in the entire world that operates internet service has an entire network of file servers, routers, switches, and T3 trunk lines installed in its digital infrastructure. I do not care if we are talking about Malta, Morocco, or Canada. The nuts and bolts of the internet are the same in this day and age anywhere you go. Yes, they are. So what excuse do internet service providers within the United States of America have for continuing to rape each and every one of us with the 5th highest monthly data fees in the entire civilized world? Well, that would be none whatsoever. Zippo nada. I don't know if you've gotten much from this video so far, aunts and uncles, but get this, if nothing else. We are being sorely taken advantage of here in the USA, and our elected representatives are sitting squarely on their hands and doing nothing to stop it or even make things better. And in the midst of all that, corporate vultures sit perched atop rotting fence posts awaiting yours and my collective corpses. And that, my friends, is utter and complete bullshit. Good night, my loyal viewers, and sleep well.